morning, guys, and welcome to Halo Toy Story Edition. Today, I am joined by Aegis, and we are planning to discuss Halo Infinity and Beyond. This game is coming out at some point in the infinite future, and I'm going to stop with the infinite jokes within a finite amount of time here, I swear. How you doing today, Aegis?
I'm doing great. You know, I'm I'm still I'm still hopeful for Halo Infinite, but it seems like the more that I hear about this game through blog posts and such, the less optimistic I am.
Oh yeah, I'm kind of getting mixed bag here on it. I'm having a hard time gauging down what I think they actually want to be showing.
Yep.
That's probably the part that's confusing me the most. But I guess we should maybe discuss the most recent blog post that came out. There was a Q&A about a week ago, from my understanding, where 343 opened the door to fans to ask what they wanted to know. And there were a lot of questions and answers going on, of course, in a Q&A. I don't know why I said that. But their general responses that most people deemed important was, one, there's not going to be any dual wielding in the game. Two, there's not going to be any gameplay where you play as elites. Three, you are able to punt enemies off of Zeta Halo, which, while I am very excited for that, seems shocking that that's an important update to the game. They gave some information on biomes, and they gave information on dynamic day-night cycles and the weather systems. Aegis, let's start this off positively. What piece of information there excites you the most?
Oh, this sounds. I mean, it's not quite as exciting as I would like it to be, but I mean, punting grunts off of the ring or knocking wraiths off, like they gave an example of, that sounds like it has a lot of potential for funny things to happen and funny interactions with the game and the AI. But uh, yeah, I think that's what is the most exciting for me. How about you?
My problem with that is I just know an elite's going to donkey kick me off the side of the ring. I'll probably rage quit. So I've got to say I'm liking the idea of the dynamic day-night cycle and the weather systems. I want to know how they're going to implement it, because I honestly thought up until this came out, like this Q&A, this was going to be an open world game. Based on everything they were saying, I assumed it was open world.
So
So
did I.
so the fact that they plan to have a more dynamic system going, honestly, it reminds me of old school Pokemon. I don't understand how that's going to be implemented in a linear level system. But the second question I have is, if this isn't open world, does that mean it is linear levels? Meaning, I don't care how wide open the levels are. If the objective is get from point A to point B, um, do you think it's going to be that way, or do you think it's going to be branching storyline? What do you think we're looking at here now?
I mean, honestly, I think it's still going to be. I think they did come out and say that it's not going to be completely open world. I think like they keep touting the Silent Cartographer mission, like that's a large open mission, but that doesn't mean that game is open world. But I think just the general commentary up until that comment last week was the impression that they were giving was that it was going to be an open world Halo game, and that had a lot of potential. I think the thing that they're highlighting about like the dynamic like day night cycles and weather, I think what's cool about that is it's going to be incorporated into cutscenes. So if it's night in the game, you won't get taken to the moment by having a day cutscene. So it's continuity, which is interesting and good.
Yeah, that would be cool. I still question how they're going to implement it. Like, is it going to be random on every playthrough? Is it going to be impacted by events on the Halo? Because we know Zeta Halo in the past was basically overturned into entirely a clouded biome because of it's almost crashed into a planet. So I don't know. I have some questions about that. I would like to know. I don't consider something even quasi open world when it just has open maps,
Yeah,
like
neither
the
do I.
the silent cartographer. I wouldn't consider that an open world map. It's a bit free more to roam, but the objectives stay the same no matter what you're doing, right?
Yeah, it's not linear. You can do any of those three objectives at the start in order to progress the mission once you do all three. So it's open ended, but it's not open world. Like it's open to what you want to do in the order you want to do it.
Exactly. Now, I want to move on to the most important things to me in this entire freaking Q&A session. I don't know if they're important to you, but I want to know why everyone is insisting on not putting dual wielding into the game, and why everyone's just ensures over and over again we can never play as RB again. I am a hardcore Halo 2 fan.
Yep, me too.
I honestly thought Halo 5 was going to reintroduce the Arbiter as the second character, and that maybe we'd get to continue playing as him in Infinite. Instead, we got, you know, cocklock, two smoking barrels, and he kind of shotgunned the fun.
Yep.
Um, but I was really hopeful this game when they said they were taking lessons from past Halos. The two biggest things I hoped for when I heard that was the Arbiter is going to be a bigger part of the story because I love the Arbiter, and in my wildest dreams he'd be in the game. And I was really, really, really hoping dual wielding was coming back. So I've been positive to this point, Aegis. You know, I've been trying to be supportive of this game, and I'm hopeful because I like the general plot that I think is coming.
Yep.
But it's a little heartbreaking to me that when they said they learned from old Halos, they didn't learn those two things. What about you?
What really gets me is that the community has been asking for like playable elites since 343 took over. I don't think Halo 4 or 5 had playable elites or that option to play as them in multiplayer. Uh, Definitely not in the campaign or campaigns.
Mm,
And I mean, Halo 5 launched in 2015, so that's when this game launches this year. Ideally, it'll be 6 years in the oven. Now that's not 6 years of dev time, but it's 6 years of like, you know, concepting and like working through it and knowing the fans want things like playable elites and dual wielding. Bungie made dual wielding work with Halo 2 and 3. They didn't have it in ODST or Reach, but I mean, they were able to implement it, and the balancing was a little wonky in Halo 2 because, the Magnum was really underpowered and it almost was balanced to have two weapons first, and when you had them on their own, they were fairly weak. But I think Halo 3 kind of brought them up a little bit, made them a little bit better in the sandbox.
I think personally it's possible that 343 was misunderstanding what everyone was saying when they said they wanted a more human story compared to
Mm,
Halo 4 and 5. I was talking to a friend about this a few weeks ago, that Halo 4 and 5 got more and more fantastical, for lack of a better word. It became very sci-fi fantasy, and I accepted that because I knew that Halo 6 was eventually going to be about what does it mean to be human, and do we deserve to attain the mantle. And
yep,
to do that, you almost had to skyrocket us up into the sky, and it had to be very fantasy, very godlike, before you come crashing back down to dealing with human issues.
right.
But when I say human issues, I just mean a more grounded setting, a more realistic setting. And I don't think at any point when I was playing Halo 4 or Halo 2, I felt like the Arbiter was a not human character. In fact, I got more humanity from the Arbiter storyline than I ever did from the Chief.
Yep.
It was very sympathetic. He was blinded by a cause, he was blinded by his desire to do right by his species until he learned the harsh truth. And even then, he denied it for a while.
And the big thing with the
Um,
RB is you actually see his face. You can see how he actually responds and reacts to, stuff around him. You got Chief in the green suit. You can't tell what his face looks like. You can only hear from his tone of voice, kind of from his body language in the suit. So and he's also been so like, not disillusioned, but like so torn by the cause and raised since as to be a soldier since he was 6 years old. So he's a lot more mechanical in his mindset.
Right. You don't get any Arbiter moments staring down Tartarus in shock when Tartarus is about to hit him with the hammer with the
Yep.
Chief. The
Right.
really funny looking, like, eyes go forward look. Anyway, sorry. If we could ever find a way to still shot that screen, I would love to show people what I'm talking about. It's hilarious. But yeah, I agree with you. And we're trying to keep this short today, but I have one last question for you. I see the word swampy wetlands, and I immediately think, yeah, you know what I'm thinking. I'm thinking Better Off Alone and the Flood. What do you think they're going to try? Do you think they're going to try to reintroduce the Flood through another level that looks like 343 Guilty Spark?
Oh man, that would make so much sense. Like when I hear Swampy, I think of like Backwash from Halo 2, the PvP map, and I think of, you know, Halo 1 when you first start to see like the hints, the subtlety of the Flood's existence. I think this game will be the perfect one to reintroduce the Flood and make them, a big presence in the game and in the Halo like series and lore again, I think it's a no-brainer. That's what's been missing
Well,
from Halo, from 343's Halo games.
well, and the legendary ending, I think on Halo 5, if I remember right, you can hear the flood in the background while Cortana's speaking. So
You actually, I think, isn't it, is it 343 you hear, or is it Cortana?
I
I
think you
know.
hear, it's been a long time, but I think you hear Cortana giving humming in the same way as
Mm,
343 does, and then you hear the flood in the background.
that's what it is. It's not because 343 is supposed to be dead. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's not dead. But we won't talk about that today. I prefer to in my what do they call it, your fan plot in your head. I choose to
Headcanon.
still acknowledge. Yeah, my head canon is Guilty Spark died in Halo 3, even though I know 343 reversed that reality.
Ugh.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of that, but then again, the company picked the name from probably the most evil character in the game. So, you know, um, that's kind of all I have. I think I'm pretty neutral to this update because there's some things I wanted to see and there's some things I didn't want to see. And I know it's just a Q&A update, so I
Yeah.
try not to judge it too harshly. But Aegis, do you have anything else that you have any thoughts about it?
I think the big thing that's kind of dooming this game from some points of views is the fact that they want it to be a 10-year lifestyle game or lifelong game. And so when they say it's not going to have a lot of like diverse biomes, it's going to focus on like the Pacific Northwest with sub biomes like wetlands and war-torn areas. It sounds like they're trying to save like the sandy beaches and the jungle and like the winter areas in I think that was in Silent Photography, wasn't it?
Yeah, for you're saying that they
Like for
yeah,
DLC,
yeah, you think they're saving it for DLC?
which is
That makes sense.
unfortunate. I don't like that. I hope it's shown in like multiplayer maps. That's what we gotta see. We gotta see multiplayer content because that's what's gonna really that's what sells Halo in the long term, like multiplayer.
I guess maybe. I mean, I was always a single player boy, but that's because I didn't own Xbox Live on the yeah, on the older Xboxes, so I had to just play Rockets with my friend for hours
That's pretty
straight.
fun. Also, there's
He
a
was
lot of
better at the
glitches
game
and
than me.
campaigns, so that's always fun to do, like rocket canceling and the scarab gun. But yeah,
All right, we promised ourselves we weren't going to do this time. We're getting off topic. We've already had our conversation. Let's keep our promise and only go 5 minutes over the length that we said we were going to do.
all right, let's
All
set it
right,
there,
guys.
Chief.
All right, guys. You have a good night. We just wanted to quickly do an update on the Q&A. This isn't really a formal structure. We hope you like it. Give us some feedback if you happen to watch the video. Aegis, anything else?
Nope, that's all, guys. We're gonna shake the light bulb in peace.
Have a good night, everyone. Bye now.
Later.